It's not a very typical video of mine, but we're gonna cover it anyway. Deshaun Watson. So it's been a pretty crazy and wild offseason so far for the NFL, with a number of big trades, a lot of big movement, and a lot of really just newsworthy topics to talk about and cover throughout the channel, and even some things to speculate on, and also Deshaun Watson's situation. Now, if you aren't quite familiar, Deshaun Watson has been accused of a number of things, including sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, if I'm not mistaken, sexual assault in civil court, and it's honestly just not gotten better situationally as things have kind of unfolded. I haven't really talked about this before on the channel. I kind of tried to stay away from it, but at this point, I feel like it just needs to be talked about, that the NFL absolutely needs to do something in regards to Deshaun Watson. And this is post-revelation that the New York Times had an article drop yesterday. So time of recording, this is going to be June 8th. So June 7th of 2022, the New York Times published an article saying that Watson saw 66 different women throughout the course of about a year and a half, a 17-month stretch with the Houston Texans. 66 different women at least that the New York Times was able to get some confirmation on. And during a number of these interactions with some of these masseuses, there was some form of harassment and there was some form of misconduct on the part of Watson during a lot of these interactions. And 24 of which have found their way all the way to, like I said, court. While Watson was still a member of the Houston Texans, 2 Texas grand juries decided not to prosecute Watson on criminal charges for these accusations, but all these cases are still going through civil court. These are still going to be civil cases at the very least, where a lot of details are going to be brought to light, a lot of he said, she said kind of information going to be brought to light. And the NFL, up until now, as of, the time of recording, has yet to do anything in regards to Watson, placing him on the commissioner's exempt list. Last year, Watson elected to not play at all as he was dealing with issues within the Houston Texans organization, not being pleased with his situation within the Texans. The Texans refused to trade him, so he didn't play at all. And so it's not like he was suspended last year, and we've had just more and more information come to light over the course of the last, year and a half plus, honestly, in regards to these misconduct and harassment allegations. The New York Times article has honestly kind of given a lot more information and brought a lot more light to this situation in regards to this once premier NFL talent at quarterback that is now a Cleveland Brown. The Cleveland Browns earlier this offseason basically traded away their entire NFL future to go ahead and get Deshaun Watson from the Houston Texans, sending 3 first-round picks from 2022 all the way to 2024, as well as 3 additional later-round picks in exchange for Watson, as well as a draft pick, and then went on to further sign the quarterback to one of the richest contracts in NFL history, a 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed contract for a guy that still had, at the time, 22 pending civil lawsuits, again, for the sexual harassment allegations. And yesterday, the New York Times published their article, and 2 more suits had come to light. 2 more since this trade. And honestly, as far as the Cleveland Browns are concerned, they said they had done their due diligence. They had spoken to Watson. I guess they believed him enough to levy their entire NFL future, at least for the next few seasons, on this quarterback that, again, had pending legal issues in the form of, again, sexual misconduct, sexual harassment. And another detail within this contract, by the way, that the Browns signed Watson to is that the first-year base salary, according to Sportrack.com, is only $1 million of that $230 million. That's besides bonuses and guarantees, but of his base salary, only $1 million that he'd be losing out on should Watson not actually be playing this upcoming season. And I'm sure the Cleveland Browns accounted for this, that the NFL will have some kind of fallout in the form of a suspension for a season in regards to the allegations. However, the NFL has yet to come out and say one thing or another in regards to Deshaun Watson, as they are still kind of figuring things out. And then furthermore, the Houston Texans also deserve some levels of scrutiny, as their director of security also helped provide Watson with NDAs to help silence a number of these women that he was interacting with during his time with the Texans. And it is also in the New York Times article that he used facilities in which the Texans had given him access to for these said massages, for these said interactions. And I think there just needs to be a lot more questions asked, at least of the NFL here. As far as the Houston Texans, how much did the Texans' upper management actually know about what was going on with Deshaun Watson? As things have kind of come out and come to light, it looks like the Texans were at least a little bit more aware of this situation than previously assumed. The Cleveland Browns maybe not doing their full due diligence just to get a guy to come to their organization and help win them football games, the cost of winning football games, and to the detriment of the rest of the NFL scrutiny, as well as the NFL fans looking at the organization with a very suspicious light. There's a lot to this, and I think both of these teams need to be met with a certain level of scrutiny. Again, everybody involved, with the Cleveland Browns at least, bringing in Deshaun Watson. Throughout the rest of the NFL, I'd be looking at with a certain level of suspicion. And as far as the Houston Texans, I think the NFL should probably do their due diligence and look further into these accusations and look further into what has been reported by the New York Times and really get into the nitty-gritty of how much did the Texans know. Because the further this involvement goes, the further that the Houston Texans are willing to, put these potential victims at risk to save face for their football team and for their quarterback, their prime investment, so to speak, should be met with some levels of scrutiny here. And the NFL has, again, yet to condemn Deshaun Watson for any of these accusations or allegations. Nothing in the form of a suspension officially, and nothing in the form of being at least placed on the commissioner's exempt list where you will not suit up and play football until the said situation is resolved. And since the first accusation came to light, it has been 460 days. And the NFL has, again, remained silent on the Deshaun Watson situation. It took them less time to suspend a guy over potentially deflated footballs in Tom Brady. 190 days to go through an entire investigation to determine, okay, this guy, in our eyes, deflated footballs, we're going to suspend him for 4 games. But it's taken the NFL over 460 days to come to a conclusion on whether or not Deshaun Watson was at least somewhat involved in a lot of these accusations in order to at least place some kind of penalty on the quarterback. So I'm kind of moving around a little bit within this conversation. I'm really just kind of going off the cuff on this. But the Texans' involvement in this should, again, just be very scrutinized. The Browns' knowledge of this entire situation, I think, as NFL fans at the very least, we should be looking at the Browns organization with a lot of scrutiny as to how much did they know or how much didn't they know. Why would they feel that this was a smart investment to make to get a quarterback that, again, at the time, still had 22 pending cases against him, vehemently still denying, of course, that he had any involvement in said altercations or interactions with these women. However, at the very least, 24 people can't be lying. 24 people on their own in a nutshell. 22 people, 24 people. That's a lot of people, and I think it's a large bet to place that all of these people are lying. The Cleveland Browns, from what I've kind of seen floating around social media, are looking at potential options to void Deshaun Watson's contract with these newest allegations coming to light. His legal defense was taken completely off guard by these newest allegations. Honestly, this situation continues to get messier and messier and worse the longer it goes on. So I'm going to be linking the New York Times article in the description below. Again, this isn't really something typical that I talk about or go through really on the channel. I try not to go into anything that's necessarily controversial, but at this point, it just felt like it was time to say something about this. The NFL needs to step up. I think that there definitely needs to be a lot more investigations into this matter. And honestly, I just think it's about time. So again, link to the article in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Tristan Blake Rines. Catch you in the next one. Adios.